Sorry about that. Only able to make 5-minute videos right now, so I'm doing this one in 2 parts. So let's continue off where we stopped. So remember, we were talking about a poll being taken and 28 out of 100 students agree that the school menu should be changed, and we're trying to write this fraction in decimal form. All right, so remember, we're simplifying 14 over 50. We're going to simplify that. Both of these are divisible by 2, so 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. So now this fraction is in its most simple form. Let's do some long division. So I'm going to put my numerator on the inside of the denominators and my numerator on the inside of the sign and my denominator on the outside. All right, clearly 25 does not go into 7, so I'll put a 0 here, a decimal place after the 7 and right above it, and then I'm going to add in another 0. Now we got to ask ourselves, how many times does 25 go into 70? I believe it goes in 2 times. Because 25 times 2 is 50. Now we'll subtract here. 70 minus 50 would be 20. And we'll bring down a 0. Yes. Alrighty, now we have to ask ourselves, how many times does 25 go into 200? I, in fact, know it happens to go in 8 times. So 25 times 8 would be exactly 200. And we'll get a 0 here. So how do we convert 28 over 100 into a decimal? Well, 28 over 100 became the decimal 0.28. Alrighty, so we want to determine whether these numbers are rational. Remember, a rational number means it is a number that can be written as a fraction or in the form P over Q, where P and Q are integers. So basically what we're looking for is repeating decimals or terminating decimals, or just fractions in general. What we can't use are non-repeating, non-terminating decimals. So for starters, how about this first one here? Well, negative 1.1, it looks like that decimal terminates for me, so that one will work. Same with B as well, because this is a terminating decimal. It's 5781, so we could write that as a fraction if we wanted. Next, 2.3332221114444. Well, I can't notice any repeating pattern here. It just looks like to be numbers, so we would not call that a rational number. That is irrational because it is a non-repeating, non-terminating decimal. Next, the fraction 4/5. Obviously, that one works. It's right in the form already. And then we already know the number 1 is a rational number, so we'll circle that one as well. All right, so Jose incorrectly says that 2 5/8 is equal to 2.58. We know that is not correct, so we want to represent 2 5/8 as a decimal. Well, let's do some long division here. Numerator on the inside, denominator on the outside. 8 does not divide into 5, so I'm going to put a 0. Bring up the decimal, and then put a 0 right here. How many times does 8 go into 50? Well, I believe it goes in 6 times, right? So we get 8 times 6 would be 48. 50 minus 48 would be 2. Again, I'm going to bring down a 0 here. How many times does 8 go into 20? I believe twice. 16, 4, bring down the 0, and then 8 will go into 45 times. We'll get exactly 40. All right, so that means that 2 5/8 would be 2.625. So where do we think Jose went wrong? Well, it looks like all Jose did was he just wrote 5/8 and then he converted that easily into 0.58, but that's incorrect. Jose did not do his long division. He incorrectly converted his fraction. All right, so here's some practice problems for us here. We want to write these fractions in decimal form. Tara wants to buy 3 1/5 pounds of ham. What is this in weight in decimal form? And lastly, explain if 9.373 is a repeating decimal. Is it a rational number? So go ahead and try these out on your own, and then I'll put in our answers here. Alrighty, there we go. 1/2 is 0.5. 2/3 is 0.6 continuing. 5 1/5 is 5.2. 3 1/5 would go to 3.2. And then lastly, if it is a repeating decimal, then yes, it is a rational number. Alrighty, here's our conclusion for us here. Today we learned about additive inverses, converting a fraction to a decimal, and repeating and terminating decimals. Don't forget to write your conclusion for this, everybody, and also have those 2 questions ready for class tomorrow. All right, hope this helped out, everyone. Bye-bye.